Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I'm about to do something I've never done before. I'm about to alter my positioning and how I felt about something after putting out a review. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, man? Take a seat. We are getting ready to take a second dive into Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 3, Battle for Winterfell, The Long Night. When I first watched the show, I complained about the darkness, and then, because it was tough to see. And then just all the excitement you get at the end of it because, you love seeing Arya get wins, and a big moment like that going to her instead of Jon Snow, you're just like, I was excited about that. And the fact that you just watched like a 75, 80-minute long battle. It's the longest recorded battle ever in media history, right? Like, it was crazy. So much going on. That you're excited about all that when you come off of that. And then, you sit down and you edit your reaction review, and you watch the episode again. Now, I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like HBO maybe dialed up the brightness a little bit. It felt like it was easier to see stuff while I was rewatching it. But then you're able to come down, right? Like, I'm not on the edge of my seat worried about, like, one of my favorite characters dying. And there are so many moments in the episode where, like, you're like, oh, man, like, somebody's going down. Like, I thought Brienne died 4 times. And that makes it hard to digest the episode because you're on edge. You're always, like, every time you're like, please don't kill my favorite character. Like, what? And when you find out that your favorite characters aren't going to die, when Arya stabs, the Night King, you get excited about that. You're like, all right, all my people are still alive. Even though I thought the Night King was going to win, it just seemed logical. I mean, when he raised all those dead, how do you beat that? But when you go back and you rewatch it the second time, and you kind of let it digest, and you start thinking about and looking at it as an episode, not tense. I was able to kind of just watch and, like, really take it in. And it's funny, when we got to the end of the episode, my dad was like, Corey, did you like that episode? Because I was kind of silent, like at the end. I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just like emotionally exhausted, after Endgame, and the marathon, and all of that stuff. And I, it just I was like, no, I like the episode because I wanted to really like the episode. And I do like the episode. I mean, there's some wild stuff in there, but mostly around Arya. Which I'm always cool with. But, you go back and you rewatch it, and rewatching, I understand why I was kind of, like, unreactive. Because, one, you're just completely caught off guard, shocked. Didn't see it coming in a million years. And the other thing is, when you really think about it, it is such an unbelievably anticlimactic ending for, one of the most teased characters in the entire universe. It felt, I was talking to my friend, Brittany, at work today, and she was like, it was like Snoke. Right? Like, we built Snoke through all of, episode 7, and then you get to episode 8 and you kill him, you don't find out anything. And that's how it felt with the Night King. You're like, oh my gosh, like, we didn't get to learn anything. We didn't get to see or have, like, any interaction with Bran. And even if Arya doesn't kill him there, it wasn't going to be any conversation or learning anything. And then to have him gone, you're just like, well, I haven't learned anything about the Night King. And then you think about what he did in the episode. He rides a dragon. He falls off a dragon. The second to most badass sequence in the whole show. When Daenerys goes Dracarys and he goes up in flames and then just comes out like, man, I'm so badass, but my clothes don't even burn off my body. That was awesome. But then he does, like, some walking. Oh, he does, tell his boys, he does one of these, like, go and, put the fire out so we can get to the castle after the trenches were lit. And then but he does that up on the dragon. But then, he kind of does some walking, and then him and Jon Snow kind of face off after the flames, and you're like, all right, here we go, man. This is the thing that we've been teasing for what feels like forever. Like, we have teased Jon Snow and the Night King finally getting down, and we watched the Night King do the most badass thing you could see someone do, like Undertaker style. Come on up, baby! All the dead re-rise, and Jon has no chance to get to him. So he does that, and then he walks into the Godswood, doesn't really fight Theon. Theon comes at him, he just grabs it, snaps it, kills Theon, and walks right up to Bran. So at this point, we've never seen him do any kind of battle. We've never seen him wield a sword. We've seen him throw a couple of spears, and if you think about it in the long run, he only made one contact. It was massive to get what he did, to get the Syrian, but he every other one he threw, he missed. So he was 1 for 3, which is like 333, which is pretty good for baseball, but in the averages he's missed more than he made. And you don't get to see him and Jon fight. And then you really start thinking about how in the world Arya got to him. This guy has been untouchable. Like, you can't get to him, man. You try to come at him with a dragon, flame don't hurt him. He'll sometimes throw a spear through your dragon's chest and kill it. But, like, nothing. It was so anticlimactic. And then out of nowhere, Arya, pop, 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 and it's over. And it's a cool sequence to watch. But then when you, like I said, you go back and rewatch it, digest it. How does she get past all of those White Walkers? There's like 10 White Walkers with him when he goes into the Godswood. How does she get by all of them without being seen? How does she get the drop on him at all? Like, is he caught up in Bran? Like, if he was in a conversation with Bran, maybe I could have bought, like, he got distracted because he was too focused on Bran. But again, how does she get by all of them? Unless, like, you would have seen, like, ice chips floating behind her when she did it. Like, she just killed all of them and then boom, got to him, which would be wild. But it felt like all of a sudden this character that we've built and built and built and you've been waiting to see do like crazy things doesn't do any crazy things the whole episode and then gets got like out of nowhere. And I guess my issue is like we didn't get to see him really do anything. And what would have been, I think, nicer is if what I thought was going to happen, him and Jon show down and he kills Jon, and in the process of doing that, loses track of someone, and Arya, or somebody gets free. I kind of wanted Arya to get the Night King, and that happens. But even if you would have just done like him and Jon face off, man, they had a badass sword fight, and right as the Night King is about to kill Jon Snow, Arya comes out of nowhere. I might be able to buy that, especially when the Night King and Jon were isolated from everybody. But we don't get that. We don't get any, we don't learn anything. We don't get anything out of that finally him and Bran being in the same place at the same physical time. I'm a little disappointed. It's very anticlimactic feeling. And the other thing, it really doesn't highlight anybody. Like, after watching Endgame, which I'm about to go see for the 3rd time, you watch, things in that movie. I don't want to spoil Endgame in the middle of my spoiler for Thrones, but you watch things in that movie that it does action-wise as far as highlighting its character so well. Like, in the action set pieces, they get highlighted so well. Arya gets highlighted brilliantly in this episode. Jon a little bit toward the end when he finally gets to start wielding a sword and not be on a dragon. But other than that, that's it. The Hound gets a couple of shots, and we see Brienne and Jaime constantly being flooded by dead bodies, and then they just get out of it. And Theon gets a real solid badass moment, just keeping all those whites off Bran, which was awesome because that really redeems him. And I really liked how they ended Theon's entire story. I don't think I amplified how much I liked that Bran forgave him, and that he died honorably at home in Winterfell. So things like that worked, but just so many people that were in there that don't die don't really get too many big moments. So when you look back at it, you go, there's some wonderful visuals, man. You can't deny that. I mean, when and also though, why would you send all the Dothraki out there? Suicide. Beautiful visual though. You can't deny that. A lot of beautiful visuals with the fire. But the battle stuff is awesome. It is an epic battle, and you do see a lot of stuff. And when Arya is doing badass things, and that sequence even in the library, I love all of that stuff. And I love some of the moments that you do get in there, but with the anticlimactic ending and not really losing any of our major players, even though we did lose, Theon and Jorah, and Lyanna, Mormont, and, some characters that we really love, Ed, and I don't know, it just falls a little bit flatter the second time around. So it's rare. I don't ever do things like this, but, I talked with some of you guys and I talked to people at work, and while we were having the conversations, I was making these thoughts myself. It really was anticlimactic. And I just wanted to, sit down and say, after I watched it a second time and thought about it, this thing falls down a little bit more, and I wish we could have had a bigger ending for the Night King. It just feels unfortunate that we didn't get anything like really cool other than him like walking out of that fire and that smile, which will give me nightmares for ages. So there you go, man. Those are all my spoiler thoughts a second time around after rewatching and digesting the last episode a little bit more on Game of Thrones episode 3. Now I want to know what you're thinking, man. Did you course correct? Did you watch it a second time? Were you initially really excited and then maybe like me kind of come back down to earth and realize like they could have done some stuff for such an epic episode a little bit better. But plenty of awesome stuff in there. I mean, the dragons in the sky fighting was amazing. Like you do get some really wonderful things, but a little bit more of a flat ending. So if you were feeling that, if you kind of had the same reaction, if you just thought that from the get-go, if you want to call me out, and be like, told you, see, man, like I was right. I know. I'm with you. I'm agreeing. Leave all that down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you want to come join along in all my adventures, go jump on over there, hit the subscribe button and a little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman, and I'm signing off. Peace. Well, if you aren't still here, looking for something else to check out that's Seaman related, why don't you check out a video like this guy or this guy? And if you really want to help the Seaman out in year 2, hit that subscribe button and come join the Cinema Sit Down squad, kids. You know what to do. See ya.